To start off this look, I applied a purple shade to only my lid. I had already prepped and primed my eye prior to the video and also my face. Here I'm just packing in more purple, make sure it's very bright and vibrant. You want to use a fluffy brush to blend that out. We want to make sure all the colors are blended in together. So here I'm adding a pink. So this pink is going to be my transition shade and it's going to help blend in the other colors better. And I applied that with a fluffy brush because I want it to be very light, hot pink color. Don't forget to blend in those colors together. So then here I'm adding a very burnt orange on top of that pink. And it's not on top of it, it's just slightly above it. And it is just to add another dimension to the eyes. Don't forget to blend your colors together and don't be afraid to touch up a little here and there. So here I'm filling in the eyebrows like you would normally use a brow pencil. And this is a blue shade and I thought this would go perfect for the look. It's very nice and creamy. So then here I'm outlining the eyebrows with an eyeliner and it's just to give it a more cartoonish effect. After I outline them, I actually fill them in with a little bit of hairs here and there, just to give it a more cartoonish effect. So here I'm just warming up the face with a light bronzing. You want to take a burnt orange to contour your nose and give it a more of a warming effect. This is not an everyday look, so I did want to exaggerate the colors a bit. And here I'm just adding a touch of teal under the eyes. Most of the colors I add afterwards, it's just as I go, so there's really nothing it's not planned out. I'm just going with the flow. Here I'm adding a brighter yellow. I kind of wanted that to be the highlight. I do bring that yellow in a bit and add a touch to my nose. So here I'm adding a brighter blue to the inner corner of my eyes. This is just to make it pop a bit more and to make it seem like they're a bit more open. Here I'm adding more yellow, and like I said, I just like this color for highlight. Then here I'm adding more green because there wasn't any green and I wanted to use that color. Like I said, this was not a planned look, so I'm just going with the flow and adding colors here and there. And more yellow to our highlight points. So how I applied the yellow in here is how I apply my highlight on a regular basis. So then I thought that I was missing a little bit more color and I took that same burnt orange and I started bronzing my face a lot more just to give it a more bronzier, golden goddess type of feel. And I honestly don't know what I was doing here. I was just trying to add more color, but you know, just went with the flow. More green. I love green, it's my favorite color, so I wanted to use it a lot. So this next part, I'm just using body paints and I'm just painting it and blotting it with a sponge to make it blend in a lot more, make it less splotchy and streaky. At first I did start off with eyeshadows, but I didn't think they were, you know, pigmented or bright enough, and it was gonna take way longer. And these colors were actually not planned out either. I was just really going as I went. I kind of wish I did plan them out a little bit better, but you know, it worked. So then I started adding some teal to that purple. And here I'm just blotting it with my sponge to blend it out more. And excuse my hubby, he comes in and out throughout the video. So the next steps are just really repetitive with just different colors. You know, I go in and if I feel like it needs more, I just add more, blend it in, move on to the next color. I do try to blend in the colors a little bit better with the sponge just because I wanted a nice transition. Now here I'm just adding some green to the look. Don't forget to have fun and sing while you're doing any type of makeup ever. And here I was applying the body paint with the sponge just because I thought it was just blending in everything better. For this look, now that I think about it, I could have used a beauty blender, but I really didn't want to waste it on this when I could simply just use this. But with the beauty blender, I'm pretty sure it could have applied it way better. And here I just retouched the blue a bit just to blend in the other colors. I also did add a little bit of orange to my arms and really below my chest, just because I really wanted everything to tie in together. So here we start doing the henna part. And this is still body paint, but it is henna inspired art that I wanted to try. And here I'm just doing kind of like a neck piece. I wanted to do kind of like a big medallion type of thing on my chest because it's such a big space and I wanted to use up all that space. So here I started off with 2 arrow shape pointing down. I did want to give this a necklace type of feel, so that's how I started off, but then I started adding more stuff to it. So here I'm just adding little petals for detail. And this step is very repetitive. I do the same thing on the other side. I also made a squiggly swirl and I also put petals into that. Now I added another circle to that. And my tip for when you do any type of line work with body art is you start off small. So if you do any kind of messing up, my tip is just to thicken it and make it more curvier or straight. It's like any type of makeup. You can always add more, but you can never take away. So the smaller you start, you know, the thinner you start, the more you can add to it. And here I'm adding big pointy flower petals. I just thought, you know, I need something to fill in that area. And yes, my body paint was a little bit too wet, so it started dripping. But I mean, nobody's perfect. So here I'm adding some yellow swirls to fill in those petals. I just wanted to add some color to it, make it pop. And I do advise you, I am not a professional body art painter. I just like doing this as a hobby. So then I start adding circles with dots and, you know, just make it more, take up more space and add more color. And well, this type of look is actually very time consuming. I wish I could have added more details, but it was time consuming as it was, and I didn't want to extend the video. As you can see, I did add some orange dots under my eyes. And now I'm adding petals over petals and smaller petals and bigger petals. You know, just add more detail and try to fill in as much as I could. I'm really digging the white dots on top of all that color. I feel like if I ever did a bright eye, I would so use the white dots on an everyday type of makeup look. Not every day, but you know, like a makeup look that I would actually wear. I'm not saying I wouldn't wear this, but where I live, people get very judgy. But then again, there's people that are very judgy everywhere. So this is kind of very self-explanatory. I just add petals and dots to those petals. You know, do some filling in. I did a squiggly line. And I actually forgot to tell you guys that this look is very inspired by, I don't know how to pronounce her name, but on Instagram it says dehsonae. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. You know, when I started doing these type of things, she was one of the first ones that I used to look at. And she very inspired me, and I've kind of, like, I don't go on Instagram that much anymore. And so recently I was on her page and I was like, I have to do this. I love, you know, henna type of inspired, even though on hers it says medallion. But for me, this is still henna inspired. So a lot of the times less is more, and I feel like on the mouthpiece, I could have went without that, but you know, when you're in it, you really can't stop. So now here I'm adding random dots and random colors and random places. It's just to fill in more spaces and give it more pop of color. So here I'm going in with more details on the chest area. I just wanted to add more green. You know, do random stuff like I randomly do, because random is better, but then less is more. But then I really don't know what's better. On the swirls, I started adding yellow dots in the middle, just to add a little bit more color. Then I added this orange bar in between the line work. And this is the final look. I did add a sparkly highlight to the end, but I forgot about recording it, so yeah. I hope you guys like this, and this is actually my video entry for the NYX Face Awards 2016. I hope I make it, and if I do, I hope you guys support me.